Welcome to the Alcohol Minimalist podcast. I'm your host, Molly Watts. If you want to change your drinking habits and create a peaceful relationship with alcohol, you're in the right place. This podcast explores the strategies I use to overcome a lifetime of family alcohol abuse, more than 30 years of anxiety and worry about my own drinking, and what felt like an unbreakable daily drinking habit. Becoming an alcohol minimalist means removing excess alcohol from your life so it doesn't remove you from life. It means being able to take alcohol or leave it without feeling deprived. It means to live peacefully, being able to enjoy a glass of wine without feeling guilty and without needing to finish the bottle. With science on our side, we'll shatter your past patterns and eliminate your excuses. Changing your relationship with alcohol is possible. I'm here to help you do it. Let's start now.
Well, hello and welcome back to the Alcohol Minimalist podcast with me, your host, Molly Watts, coming to you from, I am going with a resplendent Oregon today. And just in case you're wondering what the definition of resplendent is, it describes something shining brilliantly or radiantly, often with beauty and splendor. That is Oregon today. It is resplendent here. Yeah, it should entice you to want to come visit if you haven't already. Definitely, this is the best time of year to visit Oregon. So how are you all? I am continuing on with my summer content series today and with a special episode from my old podcast, Live Happier Longer. And I shared one of these a couple of years ago on summer content series, maybe last year, I don't honestly remember. But this particular episode is one of my all-time favorites from the Live Happier Longer podcast. You will hear my co-host, Angela McDade, and her beautiful, brilliant Scottish accent. And this was episode number 40. So literally right in the middle of our 81 episodes. And this was with Pat Gallant-Charette. And you will hear all about Pat, but she was just such a fantastic guest and such an inspiration. I think she's inspiring no matter who you are, no matter how old you are, but certainly if you are in middle age and you are thinking that there's nothing left for you to accomplish in your life, listen to what Pat has done with her years as she started to age and as she retired. You're going to get, I hope, a lot of inspiration from it, no matter what you're trying to accomplish or what changes you're trying to make in your life. And I hope that you get as much out of it as I do every time I listen to it. This is Labor Day weekend and Labor Day when you're listening to this, if you're listening to it in real time. I will be probably one more episode in the summer content series. It's a little bit up in the air right now, but if not, I will see you all on Thursday regardless. Have a great Labor Day weekend, and thanks as always for listening. Choose peace, everyone. Hey, Angela.
Hey, Molly.
How are ya?
I am doing well. Yourself?
I am excellent. I'm excellent. It's right before Memorial Day weekend, so that's kind of fun.
Right before my entire family just about lands in town.
Things are getting pretty exciting here at the McDade household as you and all of us are getting ready for upcoming nuptials.
Yes.
Yeah. I know. You're the mother of the bride, Angela. Did anyone tell you?
Somebody told me that. I was shocked.
I know.
But yes.
So are you much of a swimmer?
I am not a swimmer. You are the swimmer in this pair.
I was a swimmer. I swam my entire childhood and high school, was a lifeguard, did all of that.
I can swim, but I would not I would not say I was
my
a swimmer.
Husband's not a swimmer. He's a sinker. I have to hold on to him when we go.
I do at least stay afloat, yes.
But even as much of a swimmer as I am, I'm not a huge fan of the ocean.
That's a whole different beast.
It is. And today on the podcast, we are talking to someone who not only overcame a fear of things in the ocean, but she started down a path of open water swimming at the age, really didn't get serious about it until she was 58 years old. And when I say serious,
Serious.
Serious. Up until
No joking
Yes.
around.
Up until last year, she was the oldest recorded woman swimming the English Channel.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
the English
small,
Channel.
That
Yeah,
small
mhm.
leap from one country to another.
Yes. And she has recently been inducted into the International Marathon Swimming Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And really just, I mean, so she didn't start until really get serious until she was 58. She's 68 now.
Mm-hmm.
And she just tried to complete the Ocean 7. Is that what's called? I think it's called the Ocean 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's only 12 people that have actually
Yeah.
done it. She wasn't able to complete this last one. She's done 6 out of the 7.
Yeah, and she was like so close, but
close.
conditions just
Right.
became so bad that
she
she
has
was unable.
Such
to
a great
finish.
attitude about
Oh,
that.
Yeah,
Not seeing it as like, the end of the
she
story.
didn't fail. She just didn't complete it.
Yeah. And so it's incredible. I think people are really going to enjoy our conversation with Pat Gallant-Charette. Hi, Pat.
Hi, Pat.
Hi.
We are so excited to finally get to talk to you. This has been a little while.
Coming together.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know, because like I said, Joe, you were busy out just swimming across the New Zealand. What is the channel there? It's called
the Cook Strait from the North Island of New Zealand to the South Island of New Zealand.
Okay. All right. And that was in the end of February. And that's just like the latest
One of the many.
of the the open water swims that you have accomplished. And of course, the reason that we were so eager to speak with you, because you are recognized in the International Hall of Marathon Swimmers and have been inaugurated into that Hall of Fame,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty
Yes.
incredible.
Thank you.
And really why it is such a great story for us and our living happier longer and our focus on longevity and doing things as you head into the later parts of your life, aging with optimism. You didn't start this whole open water swimming adventure until you were 58.
Correct. When I was in my mid-40s, I was very busy with family life. I'm a nurse. I have 2 children, husband, and I just never had enough time in the day to do any exercise, anything significant. I mean, I'd go for an occasional walk in the neighborhood with the other moms, but as far as swimming, that was not on my agenda at all.
Yeah.
But what happened? As you know, I come from a large family, and my youngest brother at the age of 34 died suddenly of a heart attack.
Oh.
And shortly after he passed, it was about 3 weeks, and my son Tom, who was 16 years old at the time, he was on the Westbrook High School swim team. And he said he wanted to swim the Peaks to Portland as a tribute to his Uncle Robbie.
Mm-hmm.
And Robbie had won it twice. Robbie was an outstanding athlete. He just loved all types of sports. And I remember being very touched by my son's comments about how he wanted to swim as a tribute to Robbie. And I just remember saying to Tom, I said, "That's so sweet. I wish I could do the same." And he
Mm-hmm.
looked at me and he says, "Ma, you can if you try."
Mhm.
And the thing is, I wasn't expecting him to say that. Because I considered myself at that time a spectator mom. I
Mm-hmm.
was the mom that, brought him to his, track practice and swim practice and soccer games, and, worked behind the food tables.
Did the mom thing. We all
I
know that thing.
Yes, yeah. And plus at the age of 46, I thought I was a little bit too old at that time to get into anything new. Because, to try open water swimming, that was foreign to me.
Yeah.
And even though I was a swimmer when I was a teenager, I was a strong swimmer, but I got married at the age of 21, started having family, and all of a sudden, 30 years goes by. But I decided to give it a try, and I found that I really enjoyed it. But I remember feeling overwhelmed when I stood there with all these younger athletes. And I remember saying to myself, Pat, what did you get yourself into? And that was the very first time. And the thing is, I did swim across, and it was a successful swim. And something special happened that day. I just fell in love with the sport. And even at that time, I never thought of marathon swimming, swimming, 20 some odd, 30 some odd miles. That just never entered my mind. But I noticed that when I turned like 52, I noticed that my endurance significantly increased, that I could swim for a very long time. And I was really surprised by that, because as a nurse, I knew that, let's say if someone got injured, that they could, strengthen and get their endurance back to baseline. But to get stronger, significantly stronger in my 50s, I was very surprised by that. And even now, I'm 68, and this is my strongest year ever in swimming. But back then, society, and even at nursing school, they never spoke about, the positive parts of aging. It made it sound like everything was downhill. Right. And it's not. If you stay busy, active, and you have a healthy lifestyle, anything is possible.
Yeah. That is one of the things that we've spoken to marathon runners, triathletes, and a lot of them have said that, and they are all in their 60s and 70s. And they,
even 80.
And and they have said how, as women runners, they, initially were discouraged, was probably the right word.
Right. Well, told that it was going to be, as runners, they were they could potentially hurt themselves, that the uterus was going to fall out, that they were, that there was, there was a lot of reasons that they shouldn't be long distance runners.
But moreover, they just would not have the endurance.
Right.
But they have found, and science has proven since then, that in actual fact, women have probably more endurance talent than men, just because of their makeup. So physically, surprisingly, it's actually women who have the longer endurance.
Yeah. And we're finding that in marathon swimming too.
Yeah. And it makes sense.
Yeah. And years back, I just, I really thought, I listened to what society said years ago, that you have to act a certain way at a certain age. And I discovered for myself that they were wrong.
They're just flat out wrong, right?
Right. That if you stay busy and you slowly increase on your endurance, that it is possible to be able to swim or run or do anything in life that one enjoys much longer. But the thing is, I'd recommend for anyone who's starting off, not to start off doing a marathon, to start off, just very gradual increases in their endurance. And all of a sudden you find that you're able to do these incredible distances.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that, because when you first started, you were training in a pool. And you could just, like, when you first started, it was just a few laps at a time, right? Your endurance was,
well, my very first time at the Davin Pool in Westbrook, I remember walking on the deck, and I told the lifeguard that I was going to train for the Peaks to Portland. And I remember looking at her, and I said, keep an eye on me. I don't know if I can swim 2 lengths of the pool. But what I did, I just slowly increased, and I got to the point where I could swim 30 minutes nonstop. And I remember that day when I even swam an hour nonstop. I got out of that pool as though I had just won an Olympic gold, like Michael Phelps. I was just, it was so exciting. And I remember going home and saying to my husband, I said, my heavens, I just finished swimming 1 hour nonstop freestyle, but that was in my 40s. But even then, I never ever thought that I was capable of doing these incredibly long distance, 34 miles. That never even entered my mind. But
well, it wouldn't have entered mine either. No. I would have been like, I'm not, but that's so let's like dive into that, because that, I mean, that's a little symbol roll for me. Dive in, get it. Anyway, because you then, I mean, the whole long distance swimming, okay, that's one thing, going long distance and having the endurance to go long distance. But we're talking about open water long distance.
Yeah.
And that presents a whole nother
challenge in
yeah,
itself.
exactly.
Yeah, that's not just swimming.
No, that is certainly not just swimming, and open water versus even lakes. And I know you're doing kind of that open lake versus open ocean too. Right. That to me is a whole nother level of challenge that you really decided to take on, that I think is incredible. You are at present the oldest woman to have swum the English Channel.
That record was broken last year.
Oh, okay.
By Linda Ashmore, and she's 71.
Oh,
and
my.
I congratulated her. But I did have 9 world records for age group for the oldest woman.
Nice.
And and I'm very proud of that. But I did in 2017 set the record for the oldest woman for the English Channel.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Wow. I mean, still, you swam the English Channel.
Yes. Yes.
Come on.
And I'll be back.
Yes, exactly. Come on.
I'll be back at 72.
Hey, it's Molly, here to talk to you about Sunnyside. If you've listened to this show for any length of time, you know that Sunnyside is my number one recommendation for drinking apps that help you change your relationship with alcohol. I've been a Sunnyside partner for more than 3 years now, and one of the key reasons that I chose Sunnyside to be my app of choice is that they are really focused on continuous improvement, just like me. And for you, it is continuous improvement of the app in terms of how the customer is experiencing it. They've completely redesigned the progress tab from the ground up, which makes it easier for you to see your progress over time. They've introduced mini infographics to help you better see the big picture of drinks reduced and how dry days have added up since you joined Sunnyside. They have a dry day streak tracker now for those of you that are focused on taking a real extended break from drinking, and they intelligently surface trends in your data to highlight any positive things for you, and like a steady decrease in overall drinks over the course of time. These changes and these improvements are something that Sunnyside has continued to do ever since I started working with them. You can check it out over at sunnyside.co/Molly and get started on a 15-day free trial today. So I'm a swimmer. I swam my entire childhood, my entire high school career. I swam on swim team. So I was a lifeguard swimmer. Grew up on an island in the middle of a lake, freshwater lake. So used to freshwater swimming too. We used to train in the freshwater, open water swimming but I got to tell you, me and swimming in a deep ocean, I just don't know if I could do it. I have a total fear of really deep water, and I'm a competent swimmer.
Yes. Yes. Well, I had that when I was 13 years old. I went down to the beach here in Maine, and my mom had said, be careful of that incoming tide. And my brothers and I were going down to do some clam digging, and we went a ways out on this sandbar. We were very busy, collecting our clams, and all of a sudden we turn around to leave, and now we're on an island because the tide came in. And we had to swim for it. And what happened when we got about halfway, and I didn't have any concerns. It was just a few hundred yards offshore. I was, 13, 14 years old, no fear at all. And all of a sudden, one of my brothers screamed, "Shark." Well, I went from being a strong swimmer to panicking, and I thought I was going to drown. And my brothers and their 2 friends, they took off swimming to shore as fast as they could. They never looked back because they thought I was right behind them. And what was happening, I was floundering in the water. I couldn't swim, and I thought I was going to drown. And all of a sudden, I see something in the corner of my eye was a dark object. I knew it had to be a shark. I mean, that's, as a teenager, that's what I was thinking. And all of a sudden, it popped in front of me, and it was a seal. And all of a sudden, I was able to swim because I'm cussing, thinking, oh my word, I almost drowned over a seal. But that stayed with me all these years. And even though I train in the ocean, but people are shocked to hear this. I never, ever train deeper than my waist.
That is amazing.
I swim parallel to shore, and I might swim 5-6 hours, but I'm never over my head. I know that a shark could come in to waist depth water, but I just feel more comfortable. And the only time I go in deep water is the day of the event, like the English Channel, the North Channel. That's the only time I swim in deep water.
But you do it.
I do it, and I've had some interesting encounters, with marine life, but it hasn't held me back at all. I decided, I don't want to one day turn 100 and have all these regrets that I didn't try, one certain swim because of fear. I want to tackle all the the iconic swims in the world.
Yeah.
And I think that's the great thing. You've figured out a way to, for most people, they would say, oh, I have a fear of deep water swimming. I just can't do it. But for you, you've figured out a way to train and work around it. And
yes.
So now the only deep water swimming you do is the day of. That's genius. That's yeah. I mean,
but again, a lot of people think that I train, I'll swim 2 miles out in the ocean. It's like, heck no, just up to my waist. That's it. And it's more challenging, especially on a hot summer day to, kind of swim between the tourists here in Maine,
Yeah,
so,
I bet.
Go around them, but it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy open water swimming.
So the latest open water swim, I know you didn't get to finish, but you had a successful swim. Just Mother Nature didn't participate. Comply. Yes, exactly. Didn't help out. That particular swim, I read, you have to get scheduled and you have to apply just because of all those currents and time windows, and because of other people trying to do the same thing, or swim as well. Tell us a little bit about that whole, how long were you in the water? I mean, how long does this take you when you go in for a swim like that?
Okay. Well, first of all, it's the Ocean Sevens. It's the 7 very challenging swims throughout the world. And I've done 6 of the 7. And I was in New Zealand to swim Cook Strait. And
that's number 7.
That's number 7, yes. And when I started, I had perfect conditions. And then towards the end, the currents got extremely strong. And I'm not a fast swimmer. And then the winds picked up and I started to go backwards and they stopped the swim. But I had been swimming for 12 hours and 43 minutes. I felt strong the whole way. I had no doubt I was going to finish. But Mother Nature proved otherwise. But in marathon swimming, you have to accept that Mother Nature will, prevail. It wasn't my day. And what I'm doing now, I am training to go faster. I'm just looking at different ways that will help me for my next attempt. And I will be going back. I'm not sure when, because marathon swimming has gotten so popular. And there's such a short window of opportunity to swim in New Zealand that there's, quite a few swimmers that are signing up. So right now the wait is like 3 to 4 years. And so we'll see, but in the meantime, I'm going to continue with the Stillwater 8. Those 8 challenging lake swims, and I have 4 done. And at the end of July, I'll be swimming in Vermont, Lake Memphremagog. It's called the Triple Crown of Monster Swims. And it'll be my final swim of the monster swims, because I've already done Loch Ness in Scotland, Lake Tahoe in California. So
is there a monster in Lake Tahoe?
There's Tessie. Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Yeah. Each lake has their mythical creature.
Mhm.
You know, in
So
Scotland,
Nessie?
it's Nessie. Lake Tahoe, it's Tessie. And in Vermont, it's Mempher. And they all have the very similar backgrounds, you know, for centuries. You know, the locals said there was a creature, you know, in the water, you know. So anyway, it'll be fun just to swim up there, and I'm sure I will not see Mempher, but it'll be fun. Yeah.
So what's the longest marathon swim you've done? I mean, the longest open water. How long were you in the water?
Okay, that was Lake Ontario. I started at the mouth of the Niagara River, and it took me 24 hours and 23 minutes to reach Toronto. And that was a brutal swim. The water temperature was very, very cold. People will say, "Oh, there's not much as far as marine life." Well, I had lampreys trying to wrap themselves around my feet. They feel like little snakes. Yeah. And I'll tell you, I'm not a kicker, but I was kicking that day just to try to get away from them. But that was only for 5 or 10 minutes. But that Lake Ontario was one of the most challenging swims I've ever done any place in the world. It was much harder than the English Channel. It was just a very, very difficult swim. But I made it, and I got the record for the oldest person.
Wow. Amazing.
Wow. 24 hours in the water.
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
That is a long time, Pat.
Yeah. And the rules of marathon swimming, we're not allowed to wear a wetsuit. It's just a traditional swimsuit.
You're not allowed. Wait, what is the rule? There's rule. So tell me about that. What is the because it would be add to your buoyancy, or what's the?
Yes, in triathlons, swimmers are allowed to wear wetsuits, but in marathon swimming, that is not allowed. Not for marathon swimming. What they'll do, like for the English Channel, or Molokai Channel, or North Channel, or even Lake Ontario, you have to wear a traditional swimsuit, no neoprene, no insulated swim cap, and just wear your traditional goggles. And that's why I found it so cold, because the water temperature just dropped significantly in these upwellings in Ontario.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
I would think that is really, really cold.
Oh yeah, especially Scotland, Loch Ness.
That was the first thing.
Brutal.
That's the first thing Angela said was
that. That's cold.
13 hours, I think 54 minutes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And
that's chilly.
Wow, that brings a whole nother level of...
We were already impressed. You now have just gone up further in our estimation. Wow.
Again, that just is mind-boggling to me, but okay, then that's a whole nother layer of success. So tell me a little bit about your plans. I know you want to keep on swimming. You've said that, and so we know you're going to finish the still, or you're going to try to finish the Stillwater 8. Yes, you are going to do the other.
Yes,
that too, and then potentially another open water swim. Whether or not it sounds like the Cook Strait might be a little challenging as far as scheduling goes. Are there any other open water that you're interested in doing?
I have a very long bucket list of swims.
Really?
And I do. And I plan to continue swimming until I cannot do it anymore. But right now, this is a very strong year. And I can see myself doing this for several more years to come. And even if I have to repeat some of them, I enjoyed the Catalina swim out in California. I may repeat that. That was 21 miles. And, I'm going to try more of the lake swims. And I enjoy it. So might as well continue doing it.
Absolutely.
And years back when I retired from nursing, I wrote 2 bucket lists. One bucket list were just swims. And the second bucket list was just fun things to do. That, I said, I'm going to give these and a try. And that's what's been happening. My first few months, I said, I'm going to learn how to solve that Rubik's Cube. And I did. I
Nice.
did. And I taught my grandchildren. And then living here in Maine, I had never tapped maple trees. And I started tapping maple trees. And just this past season, I tapped 20 maple trees and got all the sap and made, homemade maple syrup. And so I have, another life as far as, activities. I love my swimming, but I'm finding there's other things too that are very enjoyable. And I think it's just trying something new in life,
Exactly.
It's just, you just never know if that's going to be your thing. And I'm finding that when I tried open water swimming, I fell in love with it. And now, I'm going to continue with it, but here in Maine, like I said, I'm tapping maple trees.
You're going to become a surf maker and
Yeah. And I tried snowshoeing for the first time, and people were saying, my heavens, you lived in Maine for 68 years and you never went snowshoeing? And I said, no, it never interested me. I said, but now it's like, I'm 68 and it's like, you know what? I'm going to try that. And I loved it. And my grandchildren and I will go snowshoeing and I just...
I'm sorry. They got to think you're pretty much like the coolest grandma on the block.
Oh, we have some good times. Yeah, we do our little mystery trips, and in a little while we're going to go metal detecting at the beach, and they all have their little inexpensive metal detectors, and of course I'll throw a few quarters in the sand, so without them looking, so they can find something.
You really bring up a good point as far as our 5 daily actions go. We told you a little bit about our daily action. Number 1 is move. Daily action number 2 is learn. And that's, you talked about learning the Rubik's Cube. There's not only does the science back up that using our brains and challenging ours and continuing to learn new things and learn new skills, even going out and tapping maple trees, learning snowshoeing, all of that helps increase the neural pathways and actually maintain brain health and increase your overall happiness. Our daily action number 3 is share. And that's all about staying connected. And obviously, with your big family and your grandchildren, and gosh, so fun that you've actually lived your whole life in Maine. That's an incredible thing right there. And I'm sure you're very connected to your community and to people all around you, which just, again, it not only does it help create that happier, longer life, but it just feels good while you're doing it,
Yes. Yeah. And I can tell you at the age of 68, I'm enjoying so much, compared to when I was in my 40s. I enjoyed life when I was back in my 40s, but the thing is, I was so busy, with being a spectator mom and working and, grocery shopping and cleaning the house. And all of a sudden, even though I babysit my grandchildren full time, 60 hours a week. So it's still like having a job. But now I'm looking at, there's so many more things that I've never tried in life. I want to give it a try. I want to try all these different things that I never attempted. And it just makes a person, I think, happier and more content.
Well,
for sure.
Yeah. And you're kind of treat again, the last thing that we talk about giving, being grateful. And you sound like you're a very, grateful person for the life that for the experiences that you've had and the opportunities. And you talked about just the realization when being out in the water, how, the seagulls and that you just loved it and being able to appreciate that moment. That's again a gift of people that are able to live that happier, longer life. And you kind of got the last one where you said is our last one is let go. And you talked about all the busyness and all the fear and all the anything else that holds you back from taking those challenges and making those decisions and trying new things. And people take it and we've had the pleasure of being able to talk to some really outstanding people like you that have made courageous decisions to go try new things when they were older and not just, when they
as teenagers and
right,
young adults.
Exactly. That's something that they had not previously done. And it does take courage, but every single person we've talked to, kind of to echo what you said earlier, they don't want to have a life of regret.
Mm-hmm.
They let it go and they move forward, and they're accomplishing fantastic things, just like
yes.
you. I mean, and you're just such a brilliant example.
Yes, you get 5 stars.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Check.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
But you're just a wonderful example of living happier longer. And I'm we told you a little bit about our episode with Jason Page Smith and the Old Estate, but I'm connecting you because he's got to take some.
Sounds good.
He wants to be. I know he's going to want to take shots for you for that continuing project.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. All right. Thank you.
We just appreciate you taking the time today and telling us more about your path to being an open water swimming champion at the age of 68. It is fantastic. And we just can't wait to see when you set your next world record. Will you, come back and tell us all about it?
I sure will.
Thanks for listening to the Alcohol Minimalist podcast. Take something you learned from this week's episode and put it into action. Changing your drinking habits and creating a peaceful relationship with alcohol is 100% possible. You can stop worrying, stop feeling guilty about overdrinking, and become someone who desires alcohol less. I work with people in 2 different ways, and you can learn about them over at my website. Go to www.mollywatts.com/workwithme or reach out to me directly. Shoot me an email, molly@mollywatts.com. We'll jump on a call and decide what might work best for you. This podcast is really just the beginning of our conversation. Let's keep it going. If there's one thing I know, it's that change is way easier when you stop trying to do it alone.